Hey everyone, my name is John and I am a real estate agent in Washington State. This is the follow-up video to my first video where I was looking back at my work in rentals in 2025 in the Puget Sound area. So this video is going to be more of like a deep dive into the top 5 cities that I visited last year. And it is hundreds of times that I visited these places. So the data is fairly representative, in my opinion. But let's just go over it really quick. Seattle. Oh, let's dive in. There we go. So Seattle, we're looking at a median rent of about 3,000 per month. The average being just a little bit more than that. So that tells me that there's not a ton of diversity in pricing, at least from what I saw in the hundreds of times that I visited rental properties throughout Seattle. But let's get a look at the breakdown of what was available, right? So we had 6 that were studios, 50 were 1 bedroom, 93 were 2 bedroom, 94 3 bedroom. Next, let's take a look at Bothell, because that's one of my favorite places that I love to help people find homes in, whether it's rentals or buying. But the median rent there is 3,300, with the average being just a little bit below it. So that's still fairly consistent. The rent range could be anything from 1445, which you're looking at probably Bothell Everett Highway, somewhere just off of Bothell at Everett Highway, to 6,500. There are some places that I have seen that are fairly massive in Bothell and for rent. So I feel like those might be just a little more common, but let's take a look. Not a whole lot of studios. I've seen some studios in Bothell, but there's not a ton of them available. A few 1 bedroom, but most likely you're going to be encountering something between a 2 and a 4 bedroom, or much more than that. I love Bothell. It's definitely a family oriented place. Lots of driving, but it's super LGBT friendly. I love Bothell. Different cultures mixed in and different kinds of restaurants. And everything's fairly convenient in Bothell. And it's easy to get to Seattle and Bellevue and other places. Then let's talk about Lynnwood. Lynnwood would be kind of like the value suburban market, in my opinion. It's a little bit cheaper than Bothell, or a little bit less expensive, I guess is probably the better way to say that. There's a lot of diversity of homes, in my opinion, in Lynnwood. And you can see that down here in the mix, too. It's anywhere from 1 to 5 bedrooms. But let's just keep going and take a look at Everett, because I spent a lot of time in Everett. And I think I mentioned in the first video how much I encourage anyone, whether you're an investor or you're a first-time home buyer or someone that is looking to get started somehow, Everett, don't discount that place. A lot of people have some experiences they've had in the past, and they want to discount a place like Everett just because it's affordable. I have seen some really stunning homes with amazing views in Everett, and what's great is they are all kind of affordable. So don't discount that Everett. I love that place. Let's move on to Kirkland. So Kirkland's interesting. There's a good mix of places there, but most commonly you're probably going to find a 3 bedroom situation. It can be fairly expensive in there, but in terms of the Puget Sound, it's probably not going to be your most expensive situation. Again, it depends on what part of Kirkland you're looking at. It can change, I think. What I saw when I compared rent prices between August through December 2024, when I first started this work, to all of last year, in my opinion, all cities went up to some degree, but I would say Seattle and Kirkland was an easy 10%. So rents got really expensive, in my opinion, in Seattle and Kirkland last year. I've seen other reports that say otherwise, but again, what I'm talking about here is raw on the field data versus, massive data from like an entire MLS or something. So, take with it what you will. But I would say, if you would like to have a copy of this report, I would be happy to send it to you. Okay, well, I hope that you were able to get some kind of value out of this video today, looking at the top 5 cities that I visited last year. I can honestly say there's not a bad city in the Puget Sound. The whole place is gorgeous. You're going to pay a little bit more in some places and a little bit less in others. So if you've got any questions or anything, I'd love to talk to you. Feel free to reach out to me, like and subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. My next video, I'm going to be talking about what I personally learned from working in rentals last year after having spoken with so many different families and individuals as renters last year. So look for that one. It should pop up next. Have a great life. Bye.